So we're going to sell in the present moment today, experiences that we've gathered in the past, the best that we can, that one of these three things at the bottom, time, money, or motion, will impact those three things at the top. This is the key to sales is how can I show you that if you buy my product, if you buy my service, or you have an opportunity, that in one of these three areas of your life is going to improve. Let's talk about conversation control here real quick, guys. So when you slow things down, really look at sales and really look at anything to do with sales. What are the three things that we sell? We sell products like toys or food, anything that you can purchase, like going to Walmart or something like that. Then we also sell services like an oil change or going to a doctor. And then we sell opportunities like a business opportunity like we have here at EXP. But these are pretty much the three things when you really break it down that almost everything falls into. We sell products, services, and opportunities. Okay. Now, how do we sell these three things at the top? We do it with the three things at the bottom. Okay. We use the present. So we live in the past, the present, the future. So we're always in the present moment. We're sharing our present consciousness right now, but we're all going to show up at a future moment, future date, future destination with new things in our life or fewer things in our life or more things in our life. Okay. So we're going to sell in the present moment today from experiences that we've gathered in the past, the best that we can, that one of these three things at the bottom, time, money, or motion, will impact those three things at the top. So this is the key to sales is how can I show you that if you buy my product, if you buy my service, or try my opportunity, that in one of these three areas of your life is going to improve. So we're selling time, money, and emotion, and we're trying to sell this through product, service, or opportunities. So think about time. What's saving time? Fast food, Uber Eats, or something like that. So we're saving time. That's what the services we're trading our money for. What about money? Are we going to pay for education? Are we going to pay for coaching? Does that save us time and money? And pretty much everything is surrounding around, does somebody invest time, money, or emotion into something with the words that we say today in that present conversation, that if they invest in one of these three things or bought one of these three things at the top, that one of these three areas at the bottom of their life is going to improve in some way or another. That is really all we're trying to do. Okay. So the number one reason people fail in business or fail in general at anything they do, it's not the idea. It's not what they're doing. So you can see this at any company in North America, in any industry. You're going to see people making seven figures at the top, and you're going to see people making no money at the bottom. So what that means is they all have the same product, service, or opportunity they're selling within that company. But what makes the difference? What separates the gap between those that have high achievement and the ones that are still trying to figure things out? And it has to do with their communication ability. They're having a hard time communicating the value that they see or feel in their mind to someone else that they can adopt that and see it too. Okay. Now, I've been using this kind of sales framework for well over a decade. And it doesn't matter if you're attracting agents. It doesn't matter if you're selling cookies or shoes. It's going to work with everything. But this is what you guys need to be doing for the most part in every conversation, at least in some way or form in this type of framework. So first thing is, on the left-hand side, we're going to work color to color. In the beginning of every conversation, you need to understand each person's a different person. They're all coming from different backgrounds. They're all going to a different place in the future. And to have the same cookie cutter presentation that you do with every single person over and over and over works for the most part to get you into the beginning process of sales, but it's not going to make you a high achiever. You need to be able to figure out who you're talking to, why you're talking to them, what's of interest to them. And we do that all through this kind of process that we're going to go through. So in the beginning, we're going to build rapport. We're going to change the emotion of the conversation. We're going to set the tone to have the right conversation. And then we're going to go from the rapport building phase. Once we kind of get into where everything's kind of setting up right, we're going to go into the data gathering phase. This is probably the most important window, this yellow section where you're going to have anything, where you're having any conversation do with sales with somebody. This is where you're figuring out their wants, their interests, their current objections, kind of where they're at in their current life path. Do they have the money to buy from you? We're gathering all this information ahead of time so that when we go into, for example, with what we're doing, the green section, which is the EXP presentation, we can make this personal to them. We can apply parts of our business model as we go through the conversation to them. And we do that through sales looping right there. You can see. So these next sections, what we're going to do is we're going to use the information that we gathered in the yellow section, and we're going to loop back to the previous part of the conversation, the data gathering stage, and we're going to apply it to the personal presentation and to where we're going into the conversation where we're recapping the conversation, going into objections they may have about it, and anything and everything as far as short form questions. And then what we're going to do is, depending on how that conversation's gone up until that moment, we're going to decide, do we want to close? Do we go for a close today? Or do we set ourselves up for a close tomorrow or down the road? And you're going to have to figure out, depending on just the sheer volume of conversations, who you're talking to and how that conversation is going up until that moment. Okay, so let's walk through this real quick. So why and when we ask questions. So the main reason we're trying to ask questions, for one, is we want to personalize the conversation. We want to make this feel personal to them, like we're hitting on all parts of our business model that hit on their parts of their life that are important to them. Okay. So we're trying to figure out more about them and more about what they're trying to accomplish so we can make this conversation fill in what they're trying to see. And if they see what they're trying to see, they're going to convert or they're going to buy the product, service, or opportunity. Now, the main thing to do that is, like I was just saying, is we need to gather up some ammo. We need to gather up questions through gathering information through asking questions, our sales ammo, right? Our sales loop that we're going to use to go throughout the conversation. We're going to use that information to push them towards their goals, seeing how their goals can be accomplished with whatever we're trying to provide for them, sell them, or introduce to them. And then we're going to discover what they know currently about the product service, for example, EXP in our situation here. And then we're going to use these questions later to overcome objections and also to make them feel important. Because when you ask somebody about themselves, what does this do? It makes them feel important. Okay. So first step here is we're going to go through these boxes. And this is going to be in order. So in the beginning, you're just going to build rapport. Now, how are we going to build rapport? We're going to go through it just like this. So we start by building rapport. And so this at the beginning of a sales conversation, it's always going to be a little bit awkward, anxiety or tension that you don't really have a relationship with them. So you're trying to fill each other out. So we need to set the tone and build rapport. So the first thing I usually try to do, or that I think people should be doing, is starting the conversation with a passive compliment. Anything that you can tell they have pride in. So let's say they just walked in with something as far as like new shoes or a new purse or something like that, or they drove up in a new car, or something that you can tell about them that they have pride in. If they are promoting something around them or putting attention on something that they have, this is something they have pride in. And by pointing out, we're piggybacking off the emotion that they've already built around that situation, object, or person. Okay. Share commonality or hobby. We're going to try to figure out, do they do anything that we do that's the same? Do they golf? Do they play an instrument? What is their hobby? Do you have anything that you can share in common with them? Because this is the fastest way to go into rapport, is because you both say, oh, we're just like each other because we share in the same hobbies, right? Make it about the third party. If they bring their kids or a pet or a friend or a family member or something like that. So if they bring their kids, this is a big part of their life. If they bring their pet for some reason and they're like, hey, I couldn't drop my dog off in time, say something nice about their dog, right? So do anything you can to put the conversation into a warm position, not into an awkward position. Diffuser jokes. It's always good to have a couple of jokes that you guys break the ice with that work well for everybody. Commonalities about food. If you're going to go to a certain location or Starbucks or a food place, something that you see them get, do what's called mirroring, get something similar to them, not something completely contrary, saying I'm so different than you. For example, you go to steakhouse with a bunch of people, and I know you guys have your own eating preferences, but if you're going to go to a steakhouse with like 5 people, you don't want to be ordering like vegan food. You're better off like ordering a steak and just barely tiptoeing around, if that makes sense a little bit. You don't want to do anything that sets you outside the welcome environment. You want to be brought into that welcome environment, especially if there's multiple parties there. Then you just want to go through small talk. But when you feel that you're finally mutually connecting with rapport with the third party, move into the business questions. So we've gone back and forth for a little bit, had that small conversation. And this is going to be a casual conversation, guys. We're not forcing the person and we're not interviewing the person. So it's very awkward when you go through like questions that you're reading someone off of a list, or actually asking them questions and then you're writing down on a piece of note paper, or like you're circling things. That's never what we want to do. We want to go into the business casual conversation as if it was just a transition, a normal conversation. So we're building rapport. Hey, John, so it's pretty cool that we share, that we both go fishing or whatever it is. Now, I know you drove all the way out here to look at what we're doing with the EXP. So now I'm going to transition into EXP questions. Okay. So first we build rapport. Then we need to know who we're talking to as far as what they know about what we're going into as far as what we're talking about. So we need to know this because we don't want to waste a bunch of time. If they already have a good understanding of the model, you don't want to do a full breakdown of the model. Or if they don't have hardly any understanding of the model, you know that you need to spend a lot more time going into the basics and really making sure they know what they're looking at. Have you talked to anybody about the EXP model already? This gives you right up hand. Do they know anything, right? What do they know? What do you know about the EXP model? These are just basic conversations in conversation form. What is your favorite part of the EXP business model? So after you ask that question, what do you know about EXP? What is your favorite part about the EXP model? Essentially, what are you looking at? This is going to be the question that gives you their exact interests. Well, the reason why I was looking at EXP is because I've been at a brick and mortar, brokerage, and I have to drive too far to commute to the office. Or I'm like EXP because it has better cap and split, or I like the revenue share model, or whatever it is. They're going to tell you after this question what their main interest is, So you want to jot this down and keep this in the conversation later. And you want to keep focusing on things that they're interested on, and then avoid the things that they're not interested on. Do you have any questions about the EXP model that you don't fully understand? So many times people are going to talk on the things that they do kind of understand, but they're going to avoid the things that they don't understand, and they don't want to bring it up because it doesn't look good for them. Even though they shouldn't know everything about the model, still people don't want to talk about things that they don't really have a good understanding on. So you need to kind of pry that question out from them. If you're to join EXP, what would be the reason why? Are you interested in the revenue sharing model, essentially? Then down at the bottom, which agent, after you kind of go through the model a bit, which one do you think describes you most? Are you a sales agent? You only want to focus on sales? Do you like the idea of building a team and you don't want to be in production anymore and you just want to do team building? Or do you want to do a combination of both? Which one or the other? Now, by knowing that, it lets you know, do you take the conversation and how deep into the revenue share model? Because if they're like, no, I don't want to focus on revenue share, you don't have to touch on it very much. But if they're like, this is a big focus, you can put a lot of time into it. So we're catering and tailoring the presentation to the person we're talking to.